place. So Khan is in the game files, and you will see that Khan was actually buffed after the experimental server. So Khan was introduced with a buff. This is the change, the new patch notes about this October 21st. It was happening that Khan was introduced to the game. So Khan is a legendary new chess piece which is having a horn and god race or divinity and druid class. So this guy is easily upgradable, so you can just if you have another druid, you can 2-star Khan with only 2 pieces, and if you have 4 druids, you can 3-star it only with 2 stars available. So it's going to be easily 3-starable. You don't need to have max 6 mag for to achieve this 3-star. It will be much more frequent around the place. So, and don't forget that we in the legendary pool we have 10 pieces of Khan. So even if you actually, you can make it more than 10 pieces of Khan. If somebody is using a druid and upgrades it with only 2 pieces, like if you're using a unicorn, for example, and you have like 2 druids, right? And you upgrade the Khan to 2-star with only 2 Khan pieces. And after that, for some odd reason, somebody dies and Khan drops back to the pool, or you just sell the 2-star Khan for whatever reason, the game will realize that Khan is a 2-star piece, and usually you're using 3 pieces to 2-star somebody. So Khan 2-star will be dropped back to the pool as 3 1-star Khans. So this way you can make it even more. You can increase their numbers from 10 to 11 after 1 cell. So his ability is a slash is a crack ahead with the axe, pulling enemy units within range towards the crack after 3 seconds and stunning them for 2, 3, 4 seconds by dealing damage equals to their maximum HP. 10, 15, 10%, 20% plus 100, 150, 200. So basically the percentage and plus you add the 1-0 on that amount of damage. And this is split like 50% is magical damage and 50% is physical damage. And the cooldown was 30, 30, 30. But let's check out the file that was announced when it was introduced to the experimental server. Slash a crack ahead with the X. So the crack after 3 seconds stayed the same. The 3 seconds is still there. But 2, 3, 4 is more than it used to be. 2, 2.5 and 3 seconds for the dealing damage phase was elongated to have 2, 3, and 4. The damage wasn't increased. I was double checking it. So this one is the 10, 15, 20% plus 100, 150, and 200 is the same as it was in the experimental. And I don't know if the cooldown was decreased or not, because I cannot remember how was the cooldown on the experimental. I played only 1 game with the experimental with Khan. So yeah. It's nice. So the cooldown is 30 seconds. If you will play it with the race active, so if you will activate the horn race, of course this guy won't get any cooldown reduction. But if you decide to not play with horns, you can play with only gods and not play another horn unit. You can use Khan with a 65% cooldown reduction, right? So that means that his cooldown will decrease to 35% of the original cooldown. 30 seconds has 10% of 30 seconds is 3 seconds, 35 is like 9 seconds plus 1.5. So that means that 10.5 second cooldown is available when this guy is playing with 4 gods and the horn race is not active. So you can use it with that cooldown for sure, and you can combine it just as Banco tells it. Like with God of War, you can play it, and God of War is pushing, Khan can pull, and so on and so forth. And the damage is quite huge, because this guy is dealing damage according to the maximum HP as well. So that means that if somebody is having like a huge amount of HP because of 6 cave increasement, or for example Kira, because now we will have a new equipment, which will make Kira more frequent around among the lineups that people are playing, it can deal much more damage to it, because it doesn't care. This guy won't like deal like I don't know, 500 damage, but it will deal an additionally like a huge amount of the maximum HP as well. Like 200 damage is not a huge thing, but if you're talking about somebody with like 5000 HP, 20% of that 5000 HP means 2k HP vanishing plus 200. So the biggest thing here is, I think, the maximum HP damage, which is of course, usually if you have like a big carry, it will have like more HP than like 1500 if you 2-star a bigger unit like a 4-cost or a 5-cost. These guys are usually having 1k HP on 1-star already. Like the legendaries are around like 900 and 1.1k, right? So if you 2-star them, usually not usually, but I think this is the rule of thumb. If you upgrade something, it will double its HP, it will double its attack, and what else? It will double its HP and attack. Yeah, usually this is what's happening. So this guy can deal a lot of damage, and what is great about it, that it is a druid, so you can upgrade it easier than usual. So Khan is a pretty awesome addition because it's a legendary, so it won't turn up in every single game, because usually it has to be not banned first of all, right? If you see that Khan is banned, you can just play the game like it used to be. Of course, you will have the buffs and nerfs from this patch and the new equipment. But if Khan is there, then I'm very interested how much new stuff we will be seeing around in this second part of Season 14. So the new synergy, I was double checking it as well. So the Horn Totem is the Horn Totem that we used to have. The Sunchaser Totem and the Skydome Totem are the two new stuff. These both spawning in the back corners of your board. So Sunchaser Totem is causing all enemy units to have 10% chance of taking 250 physical damage and being disarmed for 2 seconds after each normal attack. So this thing can be a good counter, for example, against 6 Glacier, but the 10% is not that huge. So just imagine every 10 auto attack, you will have the chance to disarm it for 2 seconds. But if somebody is attacking like with a rate of 0.15, so that means that it will attack almost 7 times a second. Then this will give you an opportunity to at least survive it, or just not to just save you some time till those sacreds, till those venoms or light blades are not speeding up that much, so you can beat them. So this can be a good counter against that thing. Skydome Totem is great against casters. Causes all enemy units to have 50% chance to take 500 magical damage and be silenced for 5 seconds after each ability cast. This is huge. The amount of damage and being silenced for 5 seconds is huge. And having the chance of 50%, so basically one out of 2 casts will be silenced for 5 seconds. Imagine having this against pandas. Imagine having this against an Amber Blade who would cast over and over and over again. And if you have at least 50% chance to just give it a go, maybe that Amber will be silenced for 5 seconds. At least you will have a chance and you won't die in like 5 seconds in general, right? Because let's be honest, the Ambers are still like can punish easily. Jades can punish as well, so Jade can be silenced as well. And like dealing 500 damage, usually people are not having magic resistance if they are using like items like Python. Python is usually on cooldown after a while, right? So it's just lasting like for 3 seconds. People are having Antimaga Cloak, then it's really easily exhausted at the right from the get-go. So if people are not using Claw Wand, people are not making, or at least I'm not making Claw Wand, except if I have a very good reason to do that. Otherwise, people won't have Marines on the board. They won't have like magic resistance. So having a Skydome Totem which doing 500 magical damage is great, in my opinion. And these, even if these totems are having less HP, because they will have a third of the HP of the Horn Totem itself, these guys will be in the corner, in the back corner of your board. So they can be protected if you want. Except if enemy is playing, for example, assassins, so you have to have some range units around the totems in the back line, or some mages or something, which is basically ranged enemies, because the melees will jump forward, right? As the battle starts, they will go forward, so they won't save the Sun Chaser and the Skydome Totem. So I pretty much like the Skydome Totem a bit more. I think Sun Chaser Totem can be very useful as well, but in general, the three together, I mean, and having an additional like Khan on the field, I think Thorn 4 will be a big thing this patch. So people will play it, and of course people will like it. And this can be a good counter, I mean, against big casters like 6 max, for example, or just for example mages. Imagine mages having 1 out of 2 opportunity to silence the casters, like basically the thunders or the tortolas, or and so on. So it's amazing. The totem cannot move, attack, or restore HP. Receives only 1 melee attack damage or 2 ranged attack damage each time. So that's the same. One more thing, if they still have the opportunity to copy totem with Gerald, then the Gerald tactics can be implemented even better, because you couldn't like easily target the Horn Totem, because the Horn Totem spawn is depending on the enemy who is the Horn 2 is fighting against, right? So it's not spawning always on the same square. But if somebody is not having, somebody's playing Horn 4 and it's not having in the back corner anything, the Sun Chaser and the Skydome Totems will be spawning there and there only. So you can definitely target the Skydome, for example, with your Gerald if you're playing against Horn 4. And if maybe in a 1v1 situation when the enemy can watch your board and can scout you for sure, then it can like drop in the last second somebody into the corner to just avoid the Skydome Totem copy. But in that situation, the Skydome Totem won't be that much protected, and to be honest, it will have only like against level 10 enemy, it will have only 10 HP, right? Because it equals to, the HP equals to total enemy pieces times 1. So against like level 10s, you will, the Skydome will have 10 HP, and it can be like demolished by 10 melee attacks or 5 ranged attacks easily. So yeah, and talking about this, hunters and mages can damage these guys easily. So if you want to counter it, just make sure that you're flashing somebody into the other corner and just try to take down the totem that you don't like. So if you're absolutely physical, try to take this one down, the Sun Chaser. If you're absolutely caster, then try to attack Skydome with a flash. So at least this is my approach. I would go like this. New item. We are having 2 new items in the party, which basically means that we have one new line, right? The Stabbing Gloves is consisting of a wooden club and a broken sword, which makes it really interesting that actually, if you are checking out what we have right now about the stick is giving you, if I'm remembering well, 15% attack speed, right? It gives you 15% attack speed. The Stabbing Gloves will give you 25 already. I cannot remember anything else if you combine something except Frantic. Frantic gives you 40% attack speed. So this one is the only this one was the single stick combination that could increase your speed right off the get-go, like as a second line, or I don't know, is this epic item? I don't know how to call this, to be honest. So the Frantic was the only one that can buff this 15% speed, but now the gloves are buffing it as well. It's 25%, it's not that much, but it gives you 40 attack as well, and Broken Sword is only 10 attack, so they went into it quite good. So it has basically a Crystal Sword amount of damage, right? So the Crystal Sword is combined to the sword. Basically, it was reasonable to having a 40 attack on the Crystal Sword, because it's 20 plus 20, so you will get 40. It's just basic addition, and you will get an extra skill for the equipment. That's understandable, which is crits for the Crystal Sword, right? But the gloves are getting like 40 and give you 25% speed. So both the stick and the Broken Sword is getting buffed in the stabbing gloves, and in extra you are getting 40 magical damage per second. And but I'm not sure if receives is basically suffering. So this the description sounds like receives 40 magical damage per second. It's like you are suffering 40 magical damage per second, but you cannot die to it. So you're basically hurting yourself with the stabbing gloves. And Kiro's Wrath is the next one, which you would like combine with the Dragon Blood Axe in addition. The carrier gains an additional Kira synergy, which is huge. The additional, I don't know if people are realizing it or not, but additional Kira synergy means that you don't have to play always Veno plus Ogre. You can play whoever you put the Kira's Wrath on plus somebody else. I don't know if it's working on Venom Mancer, and Kira and Venom itself could mean like Ogre, not Ogre, but Kira 2. That would be amazing if it works like that, but I will try it out for sure. The carrier gains an additional Kira synergy. That means that I don't think Venom can gain 2 Kira synergy. That makes no sense. So, but we will see. I don't know. Imagine a situation when you are using Warlocks and you are using Venom, and you are having melee units. For example, in a Beast build, imagine that you are playing Venom for the Warlock, and you are playing, I don't know, for example, just a standard 6 Beast with Monkey carry and 4 Warlocks, right? You will have Venom in there. Imagine giving Kira's Wrath to Monkey. That means that if Kira's Wrath is a Monkey and you have Venom, you will have 2 Kiras on the field. That means that both your Kiras will be healing or getting extra HP after your melees are dying. And basically almost the full front line of the beasts is melee. Sandy's melee, Werewolf is melee, Tusk is melee, and of course, yeah, Monkey is melee as well. So, but if he's dying, if your carry is dying, then yeah, Venomancer can get a additional HP, but it doesn't matter too much, right? But Venom is the only single melee Warlock, so yeah, if it dies, it would give HP to Mr. Monkey as well. So it can work with Monkey. It can work, for example, I don't know, with Fallen. Imagine if you play it with Fallen in the Beast situation. Or it can work with, I don't know, you can put it in, for example, Warriors. There will be an opportunity to play 9 Warriors in an additional Venomancer, not for anything else, but for Kira synergy only. So you will be able to play your Rook Guard with Kira's Wrath and dropping in a 10th Venomancer, and you will get Kira synergy, and since everybody on that freaking warrior team will be melee, except if you have a sacred, after each and everybody you will get additional HP, except if you reach, of course, the limit, which is, I think right now on the Kira is 8. So this part of the Kira's Wrath is really interesting. I think I will play some interesting games with it. I'm really excited about this stuff. And even if it increases your attack speed even further, so 35% and 60 damage you gain. HP increased by 650, that's the standard Dragon Blood Axe, right? And receives pure damage per second equals to 4% of its maximum HP, but the damage is not lethal. I mean, if it deals you yourself pure damage, then it's, I think, a balancing stuff. If it deals additional pure damage, that should be OP. So this is why I'm thinking that it's more like you're suffering some damage, but we should try this one out for sure. I don't know exactly if the Stabbing Gloves and Kira's Wrath is damaging yourself or not. Does damage to self. Okay, so it does damage to yourself, but per second equals to 4% of its maximum HP. That means that if the battle lasts till so 25 seconds, means that it will take down all your HP if you're not doing anything and if you're not getting damaged by anybody. So basically you should have Warlock with this. If you have Warlock, you can just dodge this 4%, I think, because you can heal back some stuff with your attack. And if you're getting, for example, a Puppet Mask is really cool to just have that healing to your after your auto attacks, right? So this one is quite interesting. Buff. Our 2-star Flame Wizard, which was nerfed previously to 2-star, is getting a buff. So this girl deals 300, 500, 700 it was, and 300, 550, and 800. So basically 2-star got a 50 damage buff, and the 3-star got 100 damage buff. So the skill was increased back. I think it's still not reaching the previous state where it was damaging more as a 3-star unit. Of course, they wanted to make it stronger. I think Flame Wizard as a 2-cost unit was quite weak. If you're not stacking it with tons of magical items, and if you're not getting some really good grim combinations, then it was not that like useful. People weren't using it like in 9 Mage it wasn't popular. Of course, you're using Thunders and Tortolas, right? And you're not using Flame Wizard because you want to drop in like a source to just get mana for everybody on your team, right? Just to cast more and more. And it was more useful to have it that way in the 9 Mage than having it with Flame. But if Flame is getting buffed, I should try to go for God Mages again. For a while I was playing, I think in season 12, early season 12, I was playing tons of God Mages. I think I should go again if I have the opportunity to play some God Mage Spirits, which I played a lot. But previously, before the Shaman changes, the Shaman 4 changes, I was playing tons of God Mages with Spirits, but with the opportunity to go for Shamans as well, to just counter all the hyper carries that we have against, right? So yeah, now I think we will be able to pull off some good flame and green combinations. I'm really excited about this buff, and hopefully we will see some more flame trees around the places, because I definitely want this girl to last, right? And of course, people are using flame in the greater build as well nowadays. So it's a good good buff here, and for the humans, it will be available as well. and it's going to be interesting. Dwarf Sniper's ability was buffed. Locks onto the target piece, and after 0.5 seconds of aiming, fire shots that deals. It was buffed on a 2-star with 100 and on a 3-star with 200. And Dwarf is dealing magical damage. And the interesting stuff in this is that usually I frantic Dwarf when I played hunters. When I could get like a really easy 6 hunter and I can get a 2-star Dwarf, and I was just silencing it, and basically he wasn't like using the ability. I think they're buffing the ability to just increase or just encourage people to use it without a frantic mask and playing for the headshots itself. Unfortunately, Dwarf Sniper's like cooldown cannot be reduced with gods because its Dwarf synergy is always active. You can decrease it with Soul Devourer if it's buffed. You can decrease it with Ogre if it's buffed and it's hitting. And you can decrease it with like Region Orb with its general cooldown decreasing. And of course, I don't know if it's it can be decreased by upgrading. I'm not sure if it's decreasing by upgrading. Let me just check. 10, 10, 10. No, it's the same stuff. And now it's like 400, 700, and 1000. So that's an interesting one. But you can decrease it with Region Orb. I mean, if you have a Region Orb, what is that, like 20%? Yeah, 20% ability cooldown reduction. So that means that instead of 10 seconds, you will have like how much? It's 8 seconds, right? It's the 20% of the 10 second. 8 second is, I think, nice, but I don't know if I would go for this. This, to be honest, having this 1k here as magical damage is really tempting. It's really tempting. And I think 700 is quite a big hit on 2-star as well. Because look at the Flame Wizard. Flame Wizard is a 2-cost unit and it deals only 550. It deals only 550. Of course, it speeds up, and Flame Wizard can decrease its cooldown by upgrading, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it's decreasing from 8 to 6 to 4. So that is speeding up, that is balancing it a bit. That Flame in general is having less cooldown than Dwarf, but that 1k is really juicy and looks really juicy. These were in general the patch notes, and I'm really excited to play this patch. I think like Drodo made some good changes, and of course we have a new chess piece, which is really interesting, and a new synergy to just like play around. So I'm really interested to play this stuff. Yeah, let's jump back.